Hello everyone, this is Sushant and Dipesh group. Today's topic is about the Raven database, which is a NoSQL database. So we'll be doing the practical demonstration by the Dipesh and Sushant. So in this practical demonstration, we'll be going through the introduction first and the description of the document store database and the system requirement for that software and the installation process. And we'll show how the data will be stored or we'll create and update and delete. And then we'll show the sample database and finally the conclusion. So I'm going to give the brief introduction about the Raven database. So it is a popular schema-less link-enable document database for programmer. It is used basically it's used C Sharp programming language, and it's a no SQL, and of course it's follow the ACID, which is atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. And it is performed normally in the big web application like Facebook and Facebook, Instagram to store the data, big source of data, and it is open source. So we pick the Raven database, which is looks like this logo, and for the description of document database, Deepas will talk some.
Thank you.
Deepak.
Now I'm going to give a brief description about document store database. A document store database is a non-relational database that is intended to store and query data and information as JSON-like document. A document database is a great choice for content management applications such as blogs and video platforms. These kinds of document store database make the developer easier to store and query data and information by utilizing the same document model configuration as we can see in the in below. The document model functions admirably with use cases, for example, list, client profiles, substance, the board frameworks where each document is special and develops after some time. The document database enables flexible indexing and it is very powerful, especially in appointed queries. Here we can see an example of how data is stored in a document database. So this example is mostly focusing on Raven database and how it is gonna store. Here we are creating a sample class company and we are getting all the data from get and set methods. Mm, Get and set methods. Now Sushant is gonna talk about the installation process and the system requirement necessary for it.
The system requirement for the Raven data is there should be at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, and the processor should be at least 1 gigahertz CPU, but the recommended is at least 3 gigahertz for core CPU. The storage should be space 1 gigabyte of this space, maybe exceed it will be more flexible. So the next topic I'll be explaining some about the installation process of the Raven database. So we are using the Windows 10 operating system for installing the Raven database for 64-bit. So first step for downloading the Raven data is go to the official site, and we'll see the official website, that is ravendb.net/download. And it is very simple to download. Just click which operating system you are using with. So I'm using the Windows, that's why I'm clicking on Windows and accept, and it will be download. The downloaded file will be the zip file, so we have to unzip the folder, and then since it has to start with PowerShell with administration and the run through the command. So we'll open the PowerShell, and PowerShell to for to use this PowerShell, we need to give the command that is set execution policy as remote sign. This will allow Raven data to run trustfully. So now we'll locate the downloaded file, that is unzipped Raven data. For that we use command cd, and the locate where it is, like cd in the users download, and we'll locate the Raven database, and then we use the command dot slash run dot ps1. Doing this will open our Raven database on Chrome, and then the another steps will be to enter our security, and then for that Raven has given us the free license. Just we have to sign up using the domain where we have used the deep sus, short form of Dipesh Sushant. So and we just configure and then run the script, and then it is ready to operate. And as the pictures is shown below, the configuration is done by the license we have got from the communities in the Gmail account. And then all everything is good. Now we will go for the crude commands. So we both guys have done this work. So Deepesh will talks about some
Yeah,
further.
the now we are performing the CRUD commands in RavenDB. For that, mm, we are we are using the RavenDB and Visual Studio to demonstrate. Visual Studio is needed to create a new console application. Mm, we are in the Visual Studio. We are installing the Raven database client package and Raven database embed data store, so that the Raven database and the Visual Studio got linked to each other. Then we can perform the CRUD operations. The first is creating. Here we are creating a simple person object to store. As you can see, the new document store. This document store is linked to the Raven server, and the Visual Studio will link between this, and when we execute this command, the default database which we have named with the people will be created in the Raven database. And we have also given some data, that is first name Scott and last name, and this data will be recorded inside the default database with the people. Then session store, save change, these are the session meaning gives that it can store the value on the server. The session meaning is that. Then we can retrieve the, after creating the database, we can retrieve the database and get the necessary information. For this, we are using this command, using var session is equals to document and session load person people one. This people dash one id is given by Raven database, and it is stored like this. And for retrieving the data, we have to know this id, and then we can look at the particular data. After this, there comes, then we can also do updating. To update a document, we simply load the documents and make changes, then save it. Like, first we retrieve the which data we want to update, then we change the, in this example we are changing the date of birth from date of birth. So after changing the date of birth, then we are doing session dot save changes, which will update the database without modifying the entire database. This is also one of the main features of Raven database, as well as other NoSQL database. Main document store gives these features. After that, it comes deleting after we have first we create a retrieve update, so we can also delete the unnecessary data which are stored. For that we are using the command. For that first we are loading mm, first we are loading the necessary data, then we are deleting whichever is not needed. In this example we are deleting using an instead of an object. In the Visual Studio we are using as RavenDB as a embeddable data store, as it is a new requirement that is given by Raven database. Now showing the sample database, Sushant is gonna explain about it.
The above all the crude command was actually done in the Visual Studio using the C# programming language, where we used this programming, and then when we execute this, the data will automatically stored in our database, and that is on Raven database with a document ID that is shown in like a document ID. That's the unique key for this database stores, and that is how we store using the Visual Studio using the C# coding. It is linked with the coding there, and then it will automatically stores in our database. That is how it works. And then that all the stored data is in our mm, own storage, local storage, not in any cloud or any internet. It is stored in our own computer. So that is how it works. And final will do by the Dipesh. Final words.
Yeah, after using this Raven database, uh, we Raven database, it is very easy to use and fast to production. Its advantages is it is very easy for setup, and we can use it we can use it easily, as 80% of its SQL 80% uses the SQL syntax, which makes the developer easy to read. It is also easy to scale, and nodes that are needed can be set up very easily through distributed database. So overall, Raven database is a very user friendly NoSQL database for all .NET developers. And during this whole project we increase our ability to develop and use of this database for different use cases. Thank you for listening our presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. So we couldn't give